Good afternoon, class. Today what I'd like to do is to go over how to balance a chemical equation using a very simple example this time of a synthesis reaction of hydrogen combining with oxygen to form water. So in this case, what I'm going to do is we're going to start with certain things, and the reason why I need to start off, I like to start with this kind of an example, very simple example, is to show you not only how to balance an equation like this, using this method, but also because when if you scale it up to something more complex, in terms of a more complex chemical reaction, the technique that I show here still holds, it just requires a lot more moving parts. But the basic technique is the same. So the other thing that I'm going to need to talk about that I need you to understand is that whenever we write out our chemicals, you have to understand sometimes you have to know what we're talking about. Is this molecular of this atom, or is it just a singular atom? Because if it's molecular, for example, in terms of hydrogen, sometimes people might write just H and O, and they would just add it together. That would be incorrect because hydrogen does not just float around freely in the air or pretty much anywhere in nature. It always will bond with something, usually with itself, because hydrogen is the most abundant material in nature. That's why you will almost always find it as H2, unless it's in another chemical, another reaction that's ongoing. Same thing with oxygen. Oxygen will always tend to bond with itself. So whenever you find oxygen in nature, it will always be O2. So with that as my introduction, let us begin with how do we combine hydrogen gas and oxygen gas to get liquid water. The way we do that is we take a look at this, and so here we start with some very very important facts. This 2 over here, right as a subscript to the oxygen, this is how many oxygen molecule or oxygen atoms are in this chemical reaction. This number cannot change. If this number starts to change, that means that some molecular reaction or some chemical reaction has occurred. So if this changes, let's say from 2 to 1, then that is a simple chemical reaction that has occurred. If you try to rewrite it as something else just because you feel like it, that's not going to work. It has to have a chemical basis in order to change this subscript, the subscript right here. However, the coefficient that's over here, this can change as you need to. This is one that is very flexible. If you need to put a 2 there, a 3, a 4, it doesn't matter. This can change no problem. This cannot. Okay, these numbers here cannot change. So any of those subscript numbers, don't change them. They're built into the system. That's actually, and in fact, this is one of the ways that if you were to do certain chemical reactions like these, and if you find that you literally cannot balance them using these coefficients, then your chemical reaction is not solvable. So just want to put that out there, something to think about. So what do we do with this one? Well, we take a look at these hydrogens. H2 plus O2 gives us something with H2O. Wait, that oxygen is not balanced because there's 2 oxygens here and 1 oxygen here. How do we deal with that? This is how you do it. What you look at is you say, okay, well, I need to balance this O2 with this O. Okay, so that means I need 2 oxygens to balance off this side of the chemical reaction. Okay, that works. But wait, now I've got 2 times 2 on the hydrogen, which is 4. So I've got 4 hydrogens, which I write over here, and 2 oxygens. Okay, so then I look back at the left side of the equation and say, okay, well, I've got H2 over here. I've got O2, so my oxygens balance, I've got 2. But I need more H2 molecules in order to balance this out. That's why I have this coefficient of 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. And now, on this side of the chemical reaction, we've got 4 hydrogens and 2 oxygens. And on this side of the chemical reaction, we've got 4 hydrogens and 2 oxygens. Next time what I'll do is I'll go over a more complex example. So that concludes how to do a basic balancing chemical equations problem. Good luck in your studies.